Watch this. I'm back here like this. Look at the hands and the hips go forward.
Yeah.
And that right elbow should be more in front of your body. It was a little bit widened on your side.
Okay.
Then I try to get, if anything, the shaft pushed a little forward, tiny bit, because that's going to de-loft the putter and hit slightly up with the de-lofted face, and I'm going to be able to put more topspin on it. In my dorm room when I was at Pepperdine, I used to put a scorecard pencil. I cut it in half so I had the flat side, and I'd stick it up against the wall so the eraser was pointed out. My theory was if I can hit that little 1 millimeter eraser, I'm making putts when a 4-inch hole, right? Beautiful, beautiful. Let's go. How you been stroking it though?
Not great.
Not great? Okay.
Not great.
Stay right there. Kev, go behind him real quick. Things I look for, guys, look at this. Eyes are right over the ball. So Brady's eyes are over the ball, specifically his left eye over the ball because he's got the ball an inch ahead of center. Yeah, I like that. Go ahead and set up again. One thing that's interesting, his ball is a little too far forward, okay? And what's happening is your putter's actually pitched back like this. Get your hips bump forward and the putter grip bump forward. You feel that?
Yeah.
That's more of where I want to see you right there.
So hip bump even on the putting green.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, and take your right hand and push it towards the hole. Right there. That's you dead centered right there.
If I want to keep it where I am, I just bump hips, bump hand, as opposed to just putting it back a little bit?
Yes.
You would
because
prefer.
you were like this. You were actually stacked, kind of like your setup.
Ah.
And we were legitimately like this. And it looks to the viewer like the ball was too far forward as far as, because you're going to see it kind of up with the foot. You have a very narrow stance. It's okay. I'm looking for relative to body center. In this case, to me, you were only too far back because you were sitting back like this. You just needed to be more up on your left side. So when
Okay.
you watch this, like watch, here's me setting up, balls in chest. I'm still bumping the hips forward.
Interesting.
Okay, I feel that I have a good 60% of my weight on my lead leg. Watch this, I'm back here like this. Look at the hands and the hips go forward.
Yeah.
And that right elbow should be more in front of your body. It was a little bit widened on your side.
Okay.
So really get that thing in front of you there. And there we go. Now it's gonna be, okay. Check this out. This feels like the most awkward thing to Brady in the world, but look at the shaft of the putter now.
Really? Oh my gosh.
I know. So here's what I would be doing. A lot of times, you guys, eye dominance
Yeah.
plays a huge role in this. If you're right eye dominant,
Yeah, I
which I'm
am.
guessing you would, yeah.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is you're pulling the putter back to your right eye, okay? Sometimes what you need to do, I'm right eye dominant as well. When I was younger, used to struggle with ball position and the shaft being actually at 90 degrees or if not a little ahead, right? We talk with our players about how you want to hit slightly up with a de-lofted face, ideally.
Yeah.
So you think about what that would be. That sure as heck wouldn't be like this.
No.
I'd have to then go like that.
Right.
Okay, that's not going to work. I'm going to push a lot of putts like that. I want to have the ball slightly ahead of center, an inch ahead of center. That's an inch ahead of the top of my pendulum, so the ball is going to be an inch forward. That's going to lead to the upswing. Then I try to get, if anything, the shaft pushed a little forward, tiny bit, because that's going to de-loft the putter and hit slightly up with the de-lofted face, and I'm going to be able to put more topspin on it. A lot of the putts you were hitting, that first little couple inches would jump on you a little bit.
Yeah.
It wasn't like rolling tight.
Totally.
That's 100% because of this loft you have on your putter. So it's just knowing the butt of the club for me
Yeah.
can't be pointed back behind my zipper. It needs to be pointed up ahead of my zipper, especially if the ball's an inch forward. You do the math on it. Well, this should be at least an inch ahead of your center, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a checkpoint for you there.
Interesting.
So I would say, hey, in all,
Yeah.
let's grip down so you get over the golf ball and you're not gripping up too high on it. So we're gripping down to 34 inches. We're going to bump the handle of the putter forward and our hips forward to get a little more centered over it, okay? And you just need to put some time in with the stroke like that. I mean, that was rolling tight. Do you feel that?
Yeah.
That one actually rolled, hugged the ground nicely right there. He asked, is this putter too long for him? And here's mine at 33 that I have to grip down on slightly because I putt with 32 and a half. That's a 35-inch putter. And, to be honest with you, a 35-inch putter, when I find that somebody who's around 6'3", maybe 6'2", depending on arm length, fits into a 35-inch putter.
I'm like 5'10".
Yeah, so I would tell you you're much closer to, you'd be closer to this with the perfect setup than you would be, with than the 35. Now, here's the thing. The grip's not incredibly tapered to the point where it's like, I can't grip down on this one too much because it gets really narrow here and it feels like, it's pretty thick up there. Yeah, nice grip, by the way. They're the best grips. They just feel so good, don't they? Tiger was onto something. The big thing about it is That one's a little bit thicker at the top, so I would tell you to grip down to 34 and you'd be fine. The big thing about having a putter that's too long, you guys, a lot of times, and if you've seen our recent videos, especially with Todd Sones, we talk about this. If I'm gripping up here, well, let's just take that putter for example, and I were to go through the rotate, tuck, and tilt, where I rotate my elbows in, tuck them to the body, and then watch, I tilt over. Look where that putter hits the ground. Look, that ball's out there. My eyes are over here.
Yeah.
I grip it at the right length. Okay, this is where I need to be. Well, now I tilt, and guess what? That putter hits the ground, at a spot now where my eyes are right over the golf ball. My hands, I don't want my hands outside my shoulder line. That's going to lead to a big arcing stroke. Here's the big thing. Somebody who has too long of a putter typically will sit back on the heels and get too upright, and then the stroke gets a little bit around their body. So I would tell you just to grip down a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, and then let me check the setup, make sure you're perfect there. Know this guy. I know, where you live. I know where you get a chance to practice. And not a lot of times when you have a real job and you're working full time, do you get a good putting green to get a chance to go to.
Yeah.
Especially when you're not a member necessarily of a private club, right?
I'm an urban guy. I got Balboa or something.
Yeah. And hey, it's not, and when you get time, guys, I understand, you're a mid-am golfer, you're going to have time, and what are you most likely going to do? You're going to hit some golf balls. Why? It's a little bit more fun. You get the body moving, hit some shots, a little more exciting. It's not always exciting, when you get that 1 hour a week to go practice, to go roll the rock for 30, 40 minutes. Here's what I'd recommend to a guy like Brady, though. I'd say, hey, bring the putter inside the house. Get a little setup in the house, whether it's on carpet or whether you buy a little mat, right? And just have a little setup in there. In my dorm room when I was at Pepperdine, I used to put a scorecard pencil. I cut it in half so I had the flat side, and I'd stick it up against the wall so the eraser was pointed out. And I had a little ruler that was kind of like my straight putt no matter what that I have these days. And I'd sit there, and I just used to get over it, and I'd roll it right down the line, hitting the ball from 6 feet into the end of that eraser. My theory was if I can hit that little 1 millimeter eraser, I'm making putts on a 4-inch hole, right?
Totally.
And I used to sit there and just do that over and over and over, and I found that I didn't have to slave away at my stroke as much when I got to the golf course. I was able to just practice my speed and some longer putts because I had dialed in my shorter ones. We grip on the end. It's very easy to be too upright and back on the heels, not over the golf ball. We grip down a little bit. Well, that's going to put us a little bit more over it, and we're going to have our eyes over the ball. That's going to feel like we're more engaged in the putt. That's number one. Number two, and the biggest one, is making sure that we just have a checkpoint for getting this putter at least at 90 degrees from the ground. If anything, maybe even a little bit ahead of that. Checkpoint there for you will be butt of the club ahead of your belly button, ahead of your zipper, in the middle of your body.
Yeah.
And that's perfect right there. And I would just tell you to have moved your body a little bit forward with your handle of the golf club. So it's kind of hip and grip are moving together.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys can see that. We were kind of set back like this, and everything needed to move a little bit more forward. That should get you at least getting the ball hugging the ground a little bit more and running it true, okay?
Okay.
Good. Roll one more from here.
Okay.
At Forzak Golf, we take a lot of pride in having developed some of the best and most consistent golf swings on the planet. We do this through simplicity. Our Full Swing Masterclass will take you on a step-by-step, easy-to-understand process on how to get your golf swing better than ever. Join the many before you who've utilized our Full Swing Masterclass to take their games to the next level and beyond.